Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems again, and welcome to another official track gameplay in Monster Energy Supercross the game, round number 16 of the Monster Energy Supercross series from Salt Lake City is what I'm going to be showing you guys today. This again is another track that I have created in the game and am showing off for all you fine folks today. So I'll talk you through this track just a little bit and then obviously break down into some of my real life thoughts and opinions from last week at Foxborough, which is usually the norm of what I do in these videos. So got a few key points to talk about in that discussion today, but onto this track first. Pretty straightforward design. Start on the far end of the stadium and then rhythm lane back and forth, back and forth, back and forth pretty much. Couple fairly long whoop sections. The finish line jump is like literally in the middle of the stadium this week. And then this section I'll show you right here, it's a double in, but then this is supposed to be sand and there's no sand section option in Monster Energy Supercross the game. Excuse me, so I just made it like whoops, I guess, I don't know. And then this is supposed to be like a wall jump table back onto the start straight, and then it loops around here. And the first corner, there's supposed to be a jump on the left side and then another single. So I used the opposite side whoop and then a tall whoop. And then this is actually supposed to be a raised table, like a normal tabletop landing where I just was. And then this is supposed to be like a raised table from that. So you could like plateau onto this section and then jump from here to wherever. But there's no option for that in this game, so I basically just turned one of the standard little triple jumps that come in with the game around to build this section, and then from here on out this is exactly how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 5 foot, 3 foot, 5 foot, 3 foot single, and a 3 foot single out. This corner is supposed to be raised on the outside and then have a jump in that you could step over and then do all this section, but if you go inside it's not raised, and then yeah, I don't know, you can do whatever you want from there. But the rest of the track is pretty much on par. Like, I didn't have to change much from what the track map shows. I'm trying to think if there's anything different. I don't think there is. So yeah, I just changed up that first section a little bit, and then because there's no raised corners or like outside to inside raised corners, I had to improvise a little bit with that second corner and then improvise in the first rhythm lane because there isn't one of those plateau raised tabletop options, but I think it works, and you'll see I'll take a few different lines through this first rhythm section to show that there's several options to do in this section that I think all work. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully it works for you. I don't know, works for me. If it works for you, we'll see. But let's talk about some Foxborough, right? Because I think a lot of people are going to want to talk about it after this past weekend, which was insane. The two main events themselves, up until the incident that I'm going to talk about, were honestly quite boring. I felt like the track degrading as much as it did and kind of turning a little bit into a one-line show made the race pretty boring. Like, even in the 250 class, it was like, oh, Osborne got the lead and then just held it on Jordan Smith. But obviously you could pass on that track because Jeremy Martin went from 22nd to 4th in 15 minutes. So anyway, but obviously the incident that I'm going to talk about for a large portion of this video is Marvin Musquin taking out Eli Tomac to win at Foxborough. I'm going to start off by saying I think that there's kind of like two extremes that I've seen people arguing for in this instance, and one of them is it was the dirtiest takeout ever. Musquin should be banned a race or suspended or something, lose points, I don't know, lose the win. I've seen a lot of very stiff like penalties being asked for in Musquin's sake, but on the flip side of the coin, I feel like the other extreme to this scenario is Tomac's B word left the door open and should have expected it. It's the last lap of the race. You got to go for the win. I somewhere in the middle of that. You can determine based off my comments on that where I fall, but I'm definitely not on like either full end of the spectrum here. Here's my thoughts on what happened. It was dirty. It was. That's plain and simple, cold cut. It was a dirty pass. But it is also the final lap of the race. And I think people just assume that because Anderson's going to lock up this title that these guys should fold over and stop trying to win races, which is very backwards thinking to me. And these guys are getting paid a lot of money to win races. I know for these top guys' sake, for example, the purse money is pretty ridiculously low based off of what Feld pays them. I think the win purse money is 10,000, maybe even less than that. But these guys all have win bonuses with their teams. Ken Roczen is the highest paid athlete right now in our sport, and I'd care to wager he makes on a salary a few million a year. But if he won a lot of races and won a championship, he has the potential to make several $1 million a year. That's how big these win bonuses and championship bonuses are that these teams sign on to these people. And what it seems to be is that the win bonus available for these top riders is $100,000. That's pretty much the standard with every team. If Eli Tomac wins that race, his team will give him $100,000. If Marvin Musquin wins that race, his team will give him $100,000. I don't know about you, but I'm taking out just about anybody on planet Earth to get $100,000. So I can understand from a money standpoint why Marvin would do that. And I don't think that $100,000 is where it ends. I think he has win bonus deals with several of his sponsors. If he gets up on the podium and says all these sponsors, he makes a ton more money. But I try to leave the money aspect out of it because I do feel like motocross and supercross is still some of the purest racing that exists out there, and that these guys aren't all in it for the money, but on some level they have to be because this is their retirement plan setting up race after race as they're paying into a retirement plan basically, because their bodies are going to be shot by the end of their career and they are not going to be able to do much else with it beyond that. So they really need a good retirement fund and health plan and all that stuff for when they do retire. So all the more money they can get, the better. Just ask David Villeman and how he spent his money. But it was a dirty pass. It was very aggressive. I think it was in a pretty bad spot to try to. But let me kind of talk you through why I think that the pass is more or less Musquin's only chance there. Because, look, the track deteriorated as bad as it possibly could, really. The ruts just kept getting deeper and deeper on the outside line. So again, just like every week we see with these 450 guys, they cut lower and lower and lower and lower in the berm until there's pretty much no line other than to go full inside and almost onto the flat in the inside of the corner to get a drive out of the corner, because all the other ruts are garbage. That's just a product of these crappy 450s digging out the tracks to unmeasurable depths and making guys have to choose new line after new line after new line. And I think it kind of kills the racing because it takes these opportunities for Musquin to do a clean block pass in a wide open bull corner away because there's 1,500 ruts in the corner. So that's a whole other topic. But if Musquin doesn't try there, he has one more spot, in my opinion, on that track to make that pass. And that is in the very next corner, which again, they were both going to the far inside of in the corner. Why is that the last chance that he has an opportunity to make a pass? Well, the only two other bowl corners that exist from that second corner that I'm talking about on are after a set of whoops. And while the whoops degraded very badly at Foxborough, how many times are we going to talk about Marvin Musquin not being as good in the whoops? Tomac was doing them well better, caught and passed him in the whoops, and those bowl corners were wide open for great block passing opportunities, but Musquin, again, is not going to make a pass in the whoops. It's just not going to happen. So I think I don't know if he realized that, but I do think that him going for it has something to do with the fact that there wasn't many other opportunities to go for it, and he was within reason close enough to Tomac to try it. Now, Musquin's reasoning for this aggressive pass are about the most all over the board and kind of stupid responses I've ever seen. Like, if he went in there and wasn't trying to take Tomac out, that's fine. He can say, like, look, I wasn't trying to take him out, but you know what? Hey, I took him out. I'm sorry. Let's move on. That's what he should do, but he keeps coming up with all these excuses of, like, I didn't think he was going to cut in out of the corner, and he left the door open, and then he's done it before, and there's been worse passes. Like, just let it go, Marvin. Like, you took him out, admit to your mistake, and move on. I think that would solve the problem a lot quicker than trying to justify why you did it. Just say you took him out, move on. Like, people will respect you more for it if you do that, at least in my opinion. But I do kind of fall on the side of, it's the last lap of the race, it's a pass for the win, there's not many other opportunities to do it, and I would so much rather see that happen than Musquin not try because he's afraid of ticking somebody off. I mean, have you seen how much, like, Twitter feeds, motocross websites have exploded since this has happened? And hell, this is fantastic because the race was on Fox Network this week. It was on, you know, the lowest possible channel it can be on, basically, and it probably garnered several hundreds of thousands of viewers to watch this. And then you have this drama between two of the best riders in the sport right now for a race victory. Like, yes, it doesn't matter for the championship per se, but it did create a real storyline behind this event that these mainstream media outlets might want to cover or talk about because it was on a mainstream media channel this week. I think it doesn't get much better than that, than having a good race to the win type battle when you get Supercross on the network, because otherwise it's normally on Fox Sports 1, sometimes it's on Fox Sports 2, or sometimes it's not live at all. It was live on a Saturday, in the middle of the day, on the biggest channel it could probably have been on, and then we have this fantastic battle for the win. Like, I'm all for it. Like, if we want people to start pulling over and holding hands going to the finish line, let's go race something else. Let's all get on, like, you know, I don't know, tricycles and ride around in circles and hold hands. Like, this is Supercross. There's going to be aggressive passes. These guys are trying to make a lot of money, and they're going to go for the win. That's how it happens. Like, I understand Tomac's frustration. I think he should take him out because, or, you know, retaliate or whatever he wants to do, because surely that was a way too aggressive pass, but it's for the win. Like, these guys are not going to just lay over and not go for it. And I think that some of the rage behind this is also stemming from the fact that Marvin wasn't the most well-liked person to begin with. So, I think people are just getting kind of like blind with rage because they're either a Tomac fan or a Marvin hater, and just saying that that was the most ridiculous, egregious takeout they've ever seen. It definitely was not the most egregious, aggressive takeout I've ever seen, and I sure as heck would rather see that going on for the win than these guys just laying over and not going for it. So that's where I stand on it. I feel like that's pretty middle ground, because I am agreeing with most people that it was a very dirty takeout. I don't necessarily want to see that for the win, but I also don't want to see them not try that for fear of them getting penalized or scrutinized or whatever for making an aggressive pass like that. I was very critical of Anderson's takeout on Musquin at Oakland earlier this year, which is pretty much the same thing, like angle-wise and corner and stuff like that, except I would argue that Tomac was probably going a little bit slower than Anderson and Musquin were at Oakland, so it wasn't going to be as bad. And the reason it made it look so bad was that Tomac's grip got caught on Musquin's bike and then went in and through the chain and then ripped his bars all apart. So it looked really bad, but they weren't really even going that fast. I mean, Tomac just kind of fell over, got up, gave Musquin a thumbs up, and then got back on his bike. It wasn't like he was going in to break his leg or anything like that. But yeah, I would much rather see these guys go for it. It's stupid that we can't let these guys go at it and block pass each other. And like I said, it was dirty. I don't necessarily want to see that type of race for the victory, but I'd rather see that than no race for the victory. And I am fully on board the train that says Tomac should, this weekend at Salt Lake, if he has the opportunity, he should put Musquin on the ground, because I think Musquin has one coming now after that. But I think we should leave it at that. We shouldn't keep hating on these guys for going for the race victories, and I don't know. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. It is what it is. It created a very eventful race for us at the end of the race that was mostly boring up until that point. and those guys are animals because they crashed. Tomac gave him a thumbs up and then rolled pretty much the rest of the track and finished 35 seconds behind Musquin and still finished second. So they were clearly the two best riders on the night. So people saying Musquin couldn't win, so he took out the guy who could. I mean, Musquin was clear and away going to win the race until Tomac barely got to him at the end of the race and then caught and passed him. And they were still right together. I think Musquin would have had another chance somewhere else as well, but like, he's just, that's what you do. You got to go for it. This is Supercross. So I don't know. I think some people will either agree to disagree with me there, or some of you maybe will exactly agree with my sentiments, or some of you may fall more on the, you know, hard edge side of Musquin should be suspended for a race, or Tomac is just lame and should accept the fact that that's racing. But like I said, I feel like I'm more in between. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on it all. Definitely the most entertaining part, I would say, of the Foxborough Supercross, because most of the other racing was kind of crap. The track ended up being pretty crappy. I cannot believe that Kyle Peters on a torn ACL MCL finished third in the 250 class on that track, no less, which seemed to require a lot of your leg strength to stay within the ruts and keep yourself going. So all the props in the world of Kyle Peters. That is incredible. Definitely one of the grittiest rides I've seen in recent memory, I could say, because we used to see like Chad Reed ride through broken ribs or dislocated shoulders. Adam Cianciarulo kind of did that a few years ago, but on a torn ACL finishing on the podium is incredible. So got to give props to Kyle Peters there a little bit. And yeah, Osborne's title to lose going into Vegas. He's got a big points lead and should set us up for, I don't know, probably a rather uneventful Vegas Supercross, but hopefully this West Coast series heats up this weekend and then we have some real fun. Anderson can clinch this weekend as well in Salt Lake City, just so you know. He knocked Tomac out of championship contention last week. Even if Tomac had won the race, he still would have been eliminated, so let's not cry bloody murder about that. But Musquin is 33 points back, so basically Anderson needs to finish 26 points or more ahead after this weekend in Salt Lake City to be crowned the champion, which is obviously very feasible since Musquin is 33 back. Basically, Anderson just needs to finish on the podium. He's good to go, and he will be your champion. I think they would be tied, or like right on that 26 threshold, if Musquin were to win and Anderson finished fourth. But I think Musquin would have picked, that would be his fourth win of the season. And if he won Vegas and Anderson DNF'd, they would tie on championship points at the end of the year, but Musquin would have 5 wins to Anderson's 4, and obviously would get the title. So that would keep him mathematically alive if they were, that exact 26 points distance away after Musquin, if he were able to win this weekend. But it's pretty much over. It's Anderson's title, and I think we've known that for a while. But yeah, this is a little bit of Salt Lake City gameplay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can definitely check out the track. It is SYS_SLC and then lowercase SX and then 2018, all put together, no spaces or anything like that. On the PC, I should say, because I know some of you have asked before if it's on the PS4 or Xbox, and it is not. It is on the PC. So definitely check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below by yelling rampantly at me about how stupid I am and how my opinions don't matter. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in all of our future videos. But my name is Kellen, and I'll see you guys in the next one.